All right, page 92, Secret Door to Giza. In the Coptic traditions preserved by the Arab historian Masudi, we learn that the pyramids of Giza had a secret entrance, and these accounts give precise measurements in cubits as to the location of this hidden door, 38. This door was designed to yield with the slightest pull, having been ingeniously counterbalanced. But even the force of the flood and hundreds of thousands of tons of pressure could not open it by force. One of the ancient Egyptian mystery cults highly venerated Amenta, or the hidden underworld, which was associated to the hidden one named Amen, a primordial deity that is mentioned in the older writings of the Book of the Dead. This priestly sect closely guarded the secret of the hidden entrance into the Great Pyramid, called the Door of Stone, 39. Over 100 years ago, the historian of Egyptian antiquities, Gerald Massey, wrote in his monumental work, Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, the entrance to the Great Pyramid was covered by means of a movable flagstone that turned on a pivot that none but the initiate could detect. This, when tilted up, revealed a passage 4 feet in breadth and 3.5 feet in height into the interior of the building. This was the mode of entrance applied to Amenta as the blind doorway that was represented by the secret porthole and movable stone of later legends. The means of entrance through what appeared to be a blank wall was by knowing the secret of the nicely adjusted stone, 40. The initiates and sages of the Egyptian mysteries truly believed that the Great Pyramid contained a secret entrance to the underworld. All around the world, from cultures of great antiquity and diversity, it appears that the universal motif was that there was indeed an entrance to the world below our own, a world of the blessed and righteous dead, and a portal that led into it. However, in this case, it is intriguing to find that the Egyptians believed that this entrance was at the Great Pyramid in Giza. A rationally thinking Egyptian would not have placed such a doorway into another world in any monument that he knew was made by his own countrymen. He would assume that this mystic locale would have been in a sacred place that was older than that of his people in culture as well as their monuments. And this is exactly what we find the world over concerning the cultures that migrated to newer lands to discover stone cities and huge pyramidal structures still intact amongst devastated ruins. These structures were immediately associated to the underworld, and in its gates, the oldest civilizations on this planet had in common a core belief of the erection of a world pillar, which served as the epicenter of creation that connected the three worlds, heaven and earth, and the underworld. All of the pyramidal buildings in the Americas have attendant legends and lore passed down from the indigenous Native Americans concerning their links to the other worlds through these structures. But the greatest link yet discovered is not quite a tale. It is an old petroglyph. In North America, a Hopi petroglyph has been discovered that conveys an astonishing belief, one so old it is unremembered by even by the Hopi who still protect it. It concerns an arcane theology involving the ascent to heaven and the likening of this ascent of the image of the pyramid or artificial mountain with a secret entrance, an entrance only accessible through a god. A picture of this petroglyph is found in the book entitled The Book of the Hopi. Modern archaeologists and historians sometimes have a very warped way of reasoning in view of the world around us when comparing it to that of the ancients. One example of this is the fact that scholars measure the cultures of old America by the standards of Western histories and that of the development of the Near East. Hold on. Totally forgot to take my hat off. Been working. They assume, for instance, that because a people may have been nomadic, pastoral, or in a primitive condition, that this people's mode of communication would have been primitive as well. We are learning today that this is not the case. The ability of the peoples to become civilized and to learn how to communicate using a script language based off of verbal components, hold on, does not in any way exhibit the culture superiority concerning communication ability. In fact, the script writings we use today are inferior to the ancient pictographic modes of communication utilized by the ancients, beginning with the Sumerians. We think in pictures, and it's fair to assume that we would be better off writing using these same pictures. As a culture, the Hopi are extinct. Those still claiming Hopi are the descendants of those who were once a populous civilization. These were a people who still communicated in the oldest form known to man, by pictures. The Hopi petroglyph seen here belonged to the Deep Well clan, who claimed that the black square seen within the pyramid petroglyph signified that there was a secret crypt inside the pyramid. 41. There is no known historical evidence that the Hopi had even built a pyramid or lived in any region of the Americas where pyramids had been erected. This memory must be ascribed to an elder tradition beyond their ability to recall. Preserving these pictures in the form of petroglyphs has greatly contributed to the longevity of these traditions. Of immense significance is that this particular petroglyph was preserved by the Deep Well clan. This identifies the third link to Giza. First is the pyramid motif itself. Second is the fact that it contains a secret chamber or a vault associated to a crypt. Third is the preservation by the Deep Well clan, which infers that they also remembered, or were supposed to, that underneath the pyramid was a well of uncertain depth at Giza. The Hopi interpretation of the secret crypt may be true, referring to an as yet undiscovered burial crypt somewhere inside the gigantic edifice. The old Hebraic traditions claim that both Adam and Seth were buried inside the pyramid complex, Seth having died in the 52nd year of the construction of the Great Pyramid. The secret vault may refer to the previously undiscovered ascendant passages that lead up to the Grand Gallery, and that area is now called the Queen's and the King's Chamber. The mysterious King's Chamber contained a granite sarcophagus, though it is known that it never contained a burial. While these are possible alternatives, they are not probable as an explanation for the black square's proximity on the exterior of the pyramid attached to the facing blocks of the petroglyphic pyramid. The location of this black square is most likely the secret entrance into the Great Pyramid, which is not on the surface level of the plateau, but located high up the face of the structure, about 50 feet on the northern face. Additionally, the petroglyphic pyramid's facing blocks are discovered as if they were painted or had writing on them. The final piece of this stunning mystery in North America is the name the Hopi gave to the village where the petroglyph was preserved and guarded. It is called Wanema, or the Way Home. 42. This extinct culture faithfully preserved a divine secret committed to their trust eons ago. Their distant ancestors knew that the way home was by the ascending steps of the pyramid that contained a secret entrance that was only accessible through a deity who served as a gate or doorway into this other realm. This door and the ascending corridors of the Great Pyramid were specifically designed by the antediluvian Sethite builders by the instructions of Enoch. The door was to remain hidden until a certain designated time in the future after historical events unfolded that were prophesied to occur before the flood. These events transpired long after the deluge. Though myriad traditions from the old world survive concerning this hidden door and the descendant passages that led to the well beneath the structure, it was acknowledged of the ascendant passages and chambers that remained unknown throughout the entire history of mankind until recently.